Hi, Dale again, coming to you from in front of my house. You can see behind me I have my Halloween graveyard set up, but the one thing that is missing is an entryway to go in the front. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to build a quick and easy entry to your graveyard out of 2x4s. This one's going to have a special little surprise at the end, so stick around to see it. Let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is cut two 2x4s in half so you have four 4-foot sections. These will become the rails of the gated entry. Set a stop block on your table saw fence to 2 feet. Using that stop block, cut 4 2-foot sections of 2x4. These will become the pickets to our entry gate, and never ever turn down the offer of a helping hand. You're never too old to think about safety. Please always wear eye protection and hearing protection. I turned the 4 2-foot sections of 2x4s into 8 fence pickets by resawing them. Each 2x4 section will become 2 3/4 inch by 2 foot long picket. The SawStop job site table saw does struggle a bit and bog down. It even tripped the breaker a few times when I try to cut too deep a cut at once. So I raise the blade about an inch or so at a time, and I run the stock through multiple times. The blade is just a bit short to cut clear through the 2x4, so I need to flip the board and repeat the cuts on the other side. Just make sure the same side of the board is against the fence when you flip the board. Moving to the miter saw, set a stop block so you can cut a point on the top of each picket to the same length. Set your miter saw to a 45-degree angle. Simply cut that on both sides of the picket. Just to show you how quick and efficient you can cut the other 7 pickets, I'm going to simply let this video run unedited and at actual speed. It really is amazing how setting a stop block not only ensures the exact same cut length, but also how fast it makes the work. This next step is only needed if you plan on doing the extra over the top part of this prop. If you're only building the gate, then skip this step. I cut about a 15-degree angle on the end of all my 4-foot rails. This is done so the fence will angle backwards slightly from the entry. Again, if you're only building the gates, then keep the ends square. More steps only needed if you're going to build the extra portion of the prop. A notch needs to be cut out on the rails on the side I just cut the angles on. This is so the fence can fit snugly against the entryway. I lined up a 2x4 flush against the angle cut and I mark. Using my jigsaw, I cut out the notches. I repeated for all 4 rails. Now lay out your fence section on the ground. Don't put the pickets on straight. You want them to look old and run down. I thought this looked okay, but I still thought it could look better, so I took a couple of the pickets and I cut them in half in a jagged pattern using my jigsaw. I thought this looked a whole lot better. Now simply nail on the pickets. Use 2 nails on the top and 2 nails on the bottom of each picket. My electric nail gun is only for finishing nails and only strong enough to go through very thin wood, so I went retro and used my hammer. Repeat the same steps for the other side of the fence. Just mix up the pickets a little bit so it's not exactly the same as the first side. I forgot to cut 2 3-foot sections of 2x4 for the gate posts, so I'm doing that now. First comes cuts, then comes assembly. Next comes painting on the graveyard gate. I paint all pieces first with a coat of flat gray. Once that dries, I spray a coat of flat black. With black, I paint heavy in some areas, light in others. This way some gray shows through in some areas, not in others, giving the gate a very weathered look. Now I simply screw on the 3-foot sections of 2x4 to act as the posts for the gate. I'm using some 1x2 scrap and cutting 2 pieces with one side on each piece cut at a 15-degree angle. Originally, I was going to stake these gates into the ground, but then I decided to simply attach a kickstand to each side of the gate. That way the gates will be leaning back, giving even more of a rundown state appearance. Spray on a coat of flat black over both kickstands and they'll virtually disappear to the viewers. Let dry and call this project done. So here you go. Gates to my graveyard. Done in less than 3 2x4s, so real cheap, real easy, and real fast. The trifecta. This isn't all I'm going to be doing though. So if you're coming by my house, this is a spoiler alert. If you continue, you're going to see the extra special. If you want to be surprised, click like now. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe now, and then end the video. I am now going to go through and show you my little more power gated graveyard. Start by taking 2 full 8-foot 2x4s and 2 6-foot 2x4s and paint them the same way you painted the first part of the project. Flat gray base coat and then a very uneven coat of flat black. The 6-foot pieces I have oversized because a part that I need to finish this project is on order and has not arrived yet. Once it comes, I'll cut the 6-foot pieces to the size needed. I'm moving forward with the build using a test material that's about 5.5 foot wide. On the ground, lay out the 2 8-foot 2x4s for the sides of an entryway. Then lay out the 6-foot piece for the top of the entryway. I'm having the 6-foot pieces overhang the sides a bit because I know my test material is about 5.5 feet wide and it needs to stretch from one side to the other. Attach the 6-foot 2x4 to the sides with screws. I'm not using glue for 2 reasons. One, I know I still need to cut the top and the bottom pieces of size when my part comes in. And 2, I want to be able to take this apart for better storage. Attach the bottom piece the same way as the top, using screws and no glue. If you're lucky enough to have another person available to hold things in place, awesome for you. I'm using my portable workbench to hold up the large entryway and turning the gate into a fence. This is where those notches come into play. They wrap snugly around the entryway sideboard. Attach the fence with a couple screws. Again, no glue so that we can disassemble this for storage. Rinse and repeat to attach the other side of the fence to the entryway. When done, you should have something that looks like this. I've added some thin rope as guy wires for stability. Don't want this falling over on the kids. This is gray bridal mesh. I bought this on Amazon for about $15. You get about 40 yards of this for that price, and it's 54 inches wide. I hear chiffon works well also for this type of illusion. There's also a professional grade material that you can get that is more expensive. This stuff is extremely transparent, especially at night. You would have to struggle really hard to see this fabric at night unless you just have a bunch of lights all over the place. In fact, I have a large piece of this strung across columns on my front porch. And you can see, even in the daylight, it's very difficult to see. At night, it's completely invisible. I had to have two pieces sewn together because this area is so large. And even that seam that is created is almost invisible during the day. At night, it can't be seen. When you project images onto this, the result is outstanding. The images projected seem to just appear in thin air. It really is cool. If you have a projector with at least 720p resolution and shoots off at least 2000 lumens, this material is really all you need, and it's really, really inexpensive. I have a projector of that quality that I use on my front porch. Results are great. The projector I'm going to be using for this prop, it's far, far less quality, and the result on this fabric, it's okay, but just okay. So because of that, I went ahead and ordered a piece of the more professional grade screen. It hasn't come yet, so I'm going to use this just to test this prop. It'll also allow me to complete this video in a timely manner. To be able to easily set up and then later store, I had a friend that is incredibly good at sewing help me out. She's so good at sewing, I think she could actually sew air to water and make a blanket. She sewed channels on all four sides, plenty big enough for me to slide PVC through to create a frame that will hold the material tight. It needs to be snug, not too tight. Then, when done, I simply remove the PVC, fold everything up, and store everything away neatly. Once I install the PVC into the material, I simply attach it to the back of my frame of the prop and project onto it. You do need to set the projector up in a way that it is not easily seen by the viewers. Doing this outside can actually be quite difficult, sometimes impossible. What happens is they can get what's called a bulb shine, where they're at an angle where they're looking directly into the projector and basically blinded by the bulb. You can do things like set another prop right in that sweet spot where the bulb shine is the worst. That way people can't go and stand there. The best way you can do this, outside at least, is to have your screen up above the viewer's eye level, like on top of a driveway that goes up or on top of a hill or something like that. That way what you can do is you can set the projector on the ground facing up into the material. The viewers are already below it. That projection just goes through the screen and up into the sky. No chance for bulb shine. Since this is just a test and allowing me to complete the video while I wait for my other material to arrive, I simply use painter's tape to attach the mesh to the back of the entryway. I set up my projector to project onto the back of the mesh, and I wait for it to get dark. It's dark now, so I'm turning on my projector with some spooky images. I'm testing with the projector I plan on using, and as expected, the projection to this mesh from the lower quality projector is okay, but just okay. I know on the video it does not look good at all, but that's because my camera is very old and just does not do well in low light. While you see very grainy and blurry images, I'm seeing a pretty good projection. It looks like those ghouls are floating in the entryway and I can't see the mesh hardly at all. Walking around, I see the angle where the bulb shine will be, and I'll place a prop there to keep people from walking to that spot. Overall, pretty good. Once I get my professional material, this is gonna knock people's socks off on Halloween. Now, if any of you have any suggestions for me on how I can shoot with my old camera in low light, I would appreciate it. Please enter those suggestions in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. Until next time, see ya.